What's going on, YouTube? Thank you for tuning in to another video today. So we have a bunch of things that we are getting done on the car today. As you can see, this nice engine cover right here. Nice carbon. As you can see, it's dry carbon, so that's why you can see the carbon on the back. Shout out to Motiva Motoring, of course, for hooking it up on that. And we also got this nice CSF oil cooler. This is obviously the bottom mount oil cooler that goes on the S55. And we'll be doing a quick little walkthrough on the install on this. You can take a look here. This is a nice piece. It's a little more sturdy than the OEM one, so I'm excited to get that on there, and it'll obviously give us some performance benefits. The oil temperature will be a little bit cooler, which we can't complain about. So now what I will be doing is ceramic coating this engine cover up real quick. Run the time lapse on that. I'll ceramic coat that, throw that on the car, and then I'm doing an oil change anyways, so we're gonna do the oil cooler as well as the oil change at the same time. And I'm excited to see what this engine bay looks like afterwards. I think it'll look absolutely amazing. It goes really nice with the carbon fiber brace that comes from the factory. So let's see how it goes. Alright guys, you can see here the engine cover is now ceramic coated. It's looking nice and shiny. I will let this cure for however long until I finish the oil change and everything, because I really don't want to spill any oil on this thing. But yeah, so I'll just let it cure inside while we go ahead and put in the oil cooler and do the oil change. So we'll see this. This is the CSF oil cooler. One of the reasons I actually really like this one is that it has this metal mesh going across the entire bottom, which will help protect it while I'm driving around. I do have the Turner skid plate as well, so this, including the Turner skid plate, is double the protection. This thing is also a little bit thicker. I don't know the exact specs of how thick it is and how much extra cooling you get, but I know that it should make a significant difference. And it looks good, so we can't complain. I'm sure that my original oil cooler is probably not at its best efficiency right now, because there's, you know, things fly in through here, hit the oil cooler, and it kind of debris always gets in the fins and it doesn't let air pass through it. So I'm sure that the one on the car is already cooked, but we are upgrading it, and now I will try to make it something that I look at and I keep clean so that I know the oil is being cooled properly. So now we can go ahead, lift up the car, and start getting at it. I'll obviously be draining the oil first, then I'll drain the old oil cooler, swap it over, and go from there. But you guys will obviously be seeing the process. Alright guys, so now we're under the car. As you can see, this is the Turner skid plate. My car is super low, that's why I absolutely scrape everywhere. But you can see the Turner skid plate right there. This is the OEM oil cooler. Not in the worst condition, but it's definitely seen better days. So now what we're gonna do is remove the Turner skid plate, and I believe we have to remove these plastic pieces on the sides as well. So after I remove that, I will have access to the oil cooler and we can start draining it and unplugging everything. So after removing the plastic guards on the sides, as well as the Turner skid plate in the middle, we now have access to everything we need. So these are the bolts that hold in the oil cooler, 2 on this side, and there's 1 on the other side in the same location. And the oil lines are right here. So we have to remove this one and this one over there. And the oil will obviously spill out when I do this, so I'll have the pan underneath. And keep in mind, for some reason, CSF doesn't provide new O-rings. I did not know that until today, so I will just be reusing my old ones, which I really didn't want to do after 75,000 miles, but I guess it's okay. So I will be reusing my old ones for now. If I have any issues later, I can always order the O-rings, but it's just a little bit of work to get to, so that's a little unfortunate, but that is fine. So yeah, I will be now draining the oil out of the oil cooler. Then I'll probably stick the plugs in if I can. The plugs from the CSF cooler, if I can shove them in there, I will, so that it doesn't leak crazy. But we'll keep going at it. As I had said earlier, very expected, but it's actually surprising to see how much debris was on my oil cooler. And this is what is not allowing it to cool down my engine oil properly. Although I never really had engine oil issues, but I mean, it's going to be way more efficient if it doesn't have all this disgusting mess in there. So yeah, I mean, luckily this thing came off perfectly fine. Now I'm going to see how the CSF one fits in and if there's anything else we have to modify. But it's very simple. 2 10mm bolts, one here, and I believe these were 13s. So there's 3 of them, and it just dropped right down. And obviously make sure you catch the oil. I have the drain pan on one side, and this is just slightly dripping on this side, so I just put a towel under it for the time being. But now we can kind of get started on the install process on the CSF one. Alright guys, so now we have the oil cooler itself in place, and then I also threw on the Turner skid plate on top. I wanted to see how it would fit. So it seems like they give you these 2 little spacer things, and from what I could understand, that should go there so that it spaces it out a little bit, because this oil cooler is a little bit bigger. It is a slight bit of a tight fit, but again, I'll impact this in a little bit, but I mean, it's going up and I think it's good. So I checked the gaps on this side as well as on that side, and it looks like it should be just fine. So as you can see, oil cooler pretty much installed, and I also did an oil change, so the oil is pretty much drained now. It's just dripping. Did an oil change. Changed out the filter, of course, and I just had to fill up the oil after I put the drain plug back, and we'll be done with the oil change as well as the oil cooler install. And then we finally get to see the engine cover. I've been waiting for that, and I'm really excited to see it. Don't forget about these things. Sheesh! So actually I have my flash on, and this is reflective wrap. That's why it reflects crazy. And I have the same stuff on my brakes. Hit me up, Endless Auto Styling, North Jersey. If anybody wants anything done, hit me up. Alright guys, here we have it. CSF oil cooler installed. Luckily, I was able to do it with the Turner skid plate. I didn't have to make any cuts or anything on the Turner, which I was kind of worried about. But we have everything back together. The plastics on the sides are back on. And everything is good to go. Now, I have already filled up the oil up here. As you can see, we are done. So oil is filled up, everything's good to go. I'm gonna bring the car back down and we can start it up. And the last clip you guys are gonna see for today is me putting the engine cover on, and I wanna see what everything looks like all finished up. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Never mind, this ain't the end. Bah! Alright guys, thank you for tuning in to another video. That is a wrap. So I think this thing looks amazing. I love the engine cover. The oil cooler was a great maintenance mod as well as performance. And till next time, this is how everything is looking at the current moment. I think we're at a good spot. Engine bay is pretty much done. I have nothing left to do here. This is pretty much how it's going to be staying, but yeah, thank you for tuning in again. Please like, comment, subscribe. You know the usual. And I'll catch you on the next one.